Hi, this is Mr. Shumway. This video clip explains how to multiply matrices. So if you have a matrix of bats, balls, and uniforms that you want to buy for the women's team versus the men's team, so you have 2 rows, 3 columns. So it's a matrix that's at 2 by 3, and I'm going to multiply it by a matrix that has the price for each of those items. That has 3 rows and 1 column. So the inner numbers have to match to multiply, at least that's the way it's been defined, and the resulting matrix will be a 2 by 1. So we'll have 2 rows, women and men. It will end up being 1 column, so it will just be the total for that team. So I start in the upper left of the women's, and I have 12 bats, and I'm multiplying times $59 each, and then I'm going to add the cost of 45 balls at $5 each, add that to 15 uniforms at $47 each. Then I come back go down a row and start back up on the second matrix at the top on the bats. So I have 15 bats for the men at $59 each, plus 38 balls at $5 each, plus 17 uniforms at $47 each. Doing the math gives us a total of $1,638 for the women, $1,874 for the men. So you can see that this is a 2 by 1, 2 rows, 1 column, and we're just talking about the money needed for each team. That could be done in Excel. It was done on a calculator. If you do it in Excel, you only have to set it up once. So we have the grain percentages. So for wheat, China produces 20% of the wheat, India produces 22%, and the United States produces 11% of the wheat, and so forth. For the total world production, of wheat, we have 608,846 tons produced. So if we wanted to find out how much of that of wheat of China, how much grain China produces, we're going to need to take 20% of the wheat and 35% of the rice and 18% of the maize, which is corn. So I would suggest that the best way to set this up would be using Excel. So I've gone ahead and typed those numbers in with labels, so it's very similar to what you might write on paper. So now, if we want to do that calculation, we just go ahead and say equals. I'll put the parentheses. We want the percentage of wheat grown in China times the total wheat grown, V2, and then we're going to multiply it by the percentage of rice grown in China times the total weight of rice grown plus the percentage of maize grown by China times the total corn grown in the world well, instead of typing in the value, we can put in the location of that, and it will get the value. That way we could change it, and we only have to set it up once. In this case, I can't just copy those down because as the rows go down, the columns stay the same. Or I could and then just fix it. So if I click on this one to see what it is, I have to back those up. Each of those rows, I have to bump them up by one because it moved them down by one. And here I'll have to bump it up by two. So China produces 465,586 tons of grain. And India produces 275,545 tons of grain. The United States produces 368,682 tons of grain total. So Excel is a good way to take care of big calculations like that. If you find that you typed one of them in wrong or you made a mistake, it's easier to fix it, less frustrating.